let's start with news. So, is there anything in particular you have newsworthy for
Basic
this week?
stuff. Yeah, real basic. So we got the trailer unveil for World Trigger. It's coming in January.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say other than that. The sounds like they kind of improved the music a little bit. It's the same producer from the first season, but for some reason I was listening to it, just sounded more orchestral and a little more put together. Everything else kind of looks the same. They're covering a part of one of my favorite parts of the manga is going to be in the early bit of the second season, and
Uh-huh.
it looked good. That's about it. If you're into World Trigger, it's coming. If you're not into World Trigger, it's fine. You can ignore this. Bunch of other mecha related news to sort of deal with the topic we'll be covering later. Anyone who is looking forward to seeing the Hathaway's Flash movie that got delayed in Japan, which means it probably double delayed in the United States.
Everywhere else.
You're
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I was personally looking forward to this because Sentai Filmworks will sometimes, with Sunrise, will sometimes bring over Gundam movies within a couple months after they air just for special screenings in American theaters. The likelihood of that happening in 2021 is vanishingly small, even if we get the vaccine. So,
Oh, I can
unfortunately,
imagine.
we may not see this movie in any real shape or form in the West until the end of next year, which blows. But it looks great. All the trailers look great. So if you're looking
I
forward
mean,
to
I'm
it,
surprised we're getting Demon Slayer so fast.
I'm really shocked at that too. I wonder if that even holds up. My guess is that there may have been actual production challenges here, whereas like Demon Slayer is done. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, because it opened already in Japan. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing like the localization part they may have expedited that. Aside from that, there's another Gundam Reconquista in G film that's supposed to
Oh
come next
yeah.
year.
I saw
Uh,
that too. Is that the
I
third one?
Yeah, the third one. So the funny thing is that I would actually recommend watching the films more than watching the original run of the series because
I'd
I only
imagine.
watched the first one, but it just seemed like it cut out a lot of things that were probably not necessary, and it kind of works better as a movie anyway. I just wish that they would spend this time actually doing a full remaster for Zeta Gundam the movie because like it's such a tease when you go back and watch those and you get like 15 seconds of original high quality footage and then they just cut right back to the old shit from the TV show. Now, granted, it's still amazing, but like, man, only they just put some actual money behind it. But whatever.
Well, doesn't it need the money because it wasn't that great to begin with?
Reconquista and G needs it, but the Zeta Gundam movies that they released like 5 or 6 years ago,
Uh-huh.
those had like new scenes that were reanimated at a very a modern in like modern digital animation, and then spliced into the old scenes from the TV series in HD,
Oh,
which
so they did the same. Okay, so Bones did the same thing with Star Driver with that
ah
movie.
yeah. So it again for those who are into the Gundam series of just delays and delays. It is what it is. And then lastly, a movie that like I was thinking about very recently, which is Venus Wars, has been licensed for digital
Oh,
release, and
I've never heard of that. What is that about?
it's based on a manga. Movie came out, I want to say, like in the early '90s. Basically takes place on Venus in the middle of a war between like two countries. It has a lot of like uh Akira vibes because the main protagonist is like a motorcyclist, and the gimmick of the movie is that he gets kind of recruited on the basis of him being it's not a motorcycle, it's a monocycle. But he gets recruited because he's like really good at this particular, piloting this particular vehicle, and there's like a mobile cavalry corps of armed versions of that uh, motorcycle or monocycle, and it's a really brutal movie. It deals a lot with like war propaganda, brainwashing, and
Oh shit.
a lot of people get murdered in horrible ways. Like it's not quite at the soul crushing level of Space Runaway Ideon, which for the people who aren't familiar with that series and the movie, where it's notorious for like doing horrible things like killing a small child by blowing its head off with a laser cannon. Like, it's not quite that bad, but it's got some brutal shit. Like that early 90s hand-drawn, crunchy animation. I remember it just being really good, and I haven't really seen any hide or hair of a remaster. I think there may have been like a Blu-ray at some point in the 2010s, but yeah, it's coming to digital. So check that out if you're into that early 90s sci-fi anime look and feel. Pretty good.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
that's it. Just little things here and there, mostly about movies coming or being delayed.
Yeah, I mean, I have the only movie thing I have really is about the SAO progressive. So it's not gonna be like another like season like Cur. It's gonna be movie or movies. I don't know if I forgot whether or not it was like several. I think that's gonna work much better for the format as opposed to them trying to redo that whole story over the span of like one or two Curs.
Thank God.
Yeah, so hopefully they stick to that and we get to the next part, and hopefully it doesn't completely make everything that's happened so far feel worse, because that would suck.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be, fingers crossed, better. I don't know what it would take to get me to watch it, but
I mean,
if
I
someone
still need to watch the final season of War of Underworld, and I just remember that shit being so gory and bloody from the first episode out that I was just like, Jesus Christ.
well, like I said,
So
if someone were to bite the bullet and tell me that it fixed problems of any kind, I might be willing to give it a shot.
Mm, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. So that's it.
The Seven Deadly Horsemen manga is coming out. Not the not the Seven Deadly Sins sequel manga, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It's supposed to be coming out in January, but they still haven't decided on a name for it yet.
That's interesting.
So I don't know, but that's supposed to be coming out, and then apparently all of the surviving characters from the manga, which I don't know who survived or not, blah blah blah, because I didn't read the manga, and they're about to start animating the final season of the anime. They said that they're gonna have like side stories, which makes me believe that like it's gonna be like Kakashi Gaiden like side stories, because they're talking about it being a direct sequel. So I'm thinking that like, oh, they're gonna have side stories and then they're gonna end up in the same damn plot.
Yeah. Well, for those who have finished the Seven Deadly Sins manga, you know that it might be too much to ask that they just kill off everybody on the main cast and start fresh, because one of the challenges towards the end of that series is that certain people needed to stay dead and wouldn't, and other characters everybody wanted to live somehow can't be revived. So, you know,
I mean, yeah, it is. I don't even know if I'm gonna even. I haven't decided if I'm gonna just read the manga or watch this final season, because I didn't watch the season before this one because I heard that it was so bad, and the second season was kind of mid too.
Yeah,
So,
but again, I would say that was more of a production problem than like a story problem.
oh yeah,
there's some
no,
cool
yeah,
stuff that's in the material that they adapted. It was just like bad production. Shit. A lot of things look
yeah,
like ass. Like
yes,
I don't know what's going on. It's not COVID. Like, this has
no,
happened.
because that was like 2 years before COVID.
Right, yeah, and this has happened with a bunch of like high profile series, and I have to believe that this is a function of the terrible like crunch schedules that a lot of these studios are under. Whether
Uh,
it's Madhouse or Bones or anyone else, like you have this pattern of first seasons going very very well. Show is a hit. It looks great production. All the animation is just high tier. And then like once in a while they'll just like farm it out to like some other helper studio for reasons that make no sense. Like, the money was in y'all doing it and doing it right. So why do we get a One Punch Man season 2 situation? Why do we get a Seven Deadly Sins season 2 situation? Like, there's too much money on these series to be fucking around like this, and the reason that I've always been told is that, well, they were scheduled to work on something else, and so that meant
So
that,
the
like,
crunch overwhelmed them.
right, or that they had, before they had decided that they were going to continue with a particular series, because they don't know, it depends on if it's popular. They were already scheduled to work on another thing, but then it was popular, and so then the production committee is like, well, we want to get a second season out next year under this timetable, but the original studio that was working on it does not have a slot for doing it. So we'll get one of the helper studios that was, assisting them to then be lead, and that leads to all kinds of challenges. And again, it's not something that happens all the time, but I've just noticed that on two high-profile shonen series that got continuations, the exact same thing happened with different studios. So
Damn.
yeah, it's weird and unfortunate, because you're not going to get a second bite at the apple for a lot of these.
I mean, look at fucking Magi.
Oh my god.
They were basically like, yeah, this shit's not coming back. Good luck.
But then didn't they also greenlight the Adventures of Sinbad?
Yeah, the adventure. That's what confused me. I thought that it was going well because I was like, oh, we got Sinbad spinoff, so that means season 3 is right around the corner. And I kept seeing people like being like, oh, the manga is so great, or like, they're expanding on this, and I'm like, yeah, great. I'm waiting for that third season, and no.
Yeah, we could have a whole nother conversation about the ridiculously outdated methodology that Japanese production committees operate under for franchises that are worth so much fucking money. Like, I know I shit on Disney in my personal life all the time because they will just literally milk something to death. But if you want to see what a coordinated media strategy is supposed to look like, do not go to Japan. Don't go, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing half the time. Like, if it's not here's the thing: if it's not a toy line or like ridiculous merchandising, which they are fantastic at, they will fuck up.
Oh my god! Speaking of toy lines, why was I tempted to buy Beyblades the other day?
Why? I saw some Beyblade related shit from like a movie that was absurd. I was like, they're still making this shit?
Yeah, man. I actually looked up like adult Beyblade leagues and shit like that, and I was just like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this shit? And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? It would be fun as fuck to like, get drunk or like, get high and like just a whole bunch of adults playing Beyblades. Like, that shit would be wild as fuck. I thought that would be so entertaining.
That's the millennial weeb move of 2020.
Like, and y'all better not steal it because I'm already working on it. Don't even fucking try it.
That's actually not terrible.
They're actually really good at marketing that shit because I just randomly ran across it and I was like, these still exist. Well, of course they still exist because the anime is still going. But I was just like, damn, this shit still looks cool.
Yeah, so I guess I to avoid like an actual rant, I'll just say that my biggest frustration with the anime industry as a whole is how excellent it is at like ridiculous merchandising, and how inconsistent it is at the actual thing that got people excited in the first place, which is like the anime, the shows. Yeah, like they are. Someone had brought this up just in general about Japan. I was reading a book about this curator culture, this idea of finding things that are aesthetically pleasing to people and then like mastering it or developing expertise, and how in Japan like finding something that's very niche and then giving your all to become the best at that thing or to have the best of that thing is so prized. And so that's why you see like this hyper specialization, and that you're able to get these, like, frankly, I couldn't imagine something like Full Metal Alchemist getting made in the United States in the form that it did. And it's only because of the hyper specialization of the manga and anime industry. But then the flip side of it is like not understanding how to capitalize on the media itself, like not the ancillary shit, not the merchandise. They're hounds for the merchandise. They will sell you crazy shit that you never thought could exist. But when it comes to like, can we just get a second season of this of whatever it is on time? And the answer is like, no.
Why would they put all those resources into a second season when they can just make money off of you with the merchandise?
Right. And a lot of it has to do with like how things are funded. But I was a friend of mine who does like import export and had lived in Japan for about 5 or 6 years. One of the anecdotes he told me was that at one point they had to ship some electronics, and the shipment kind of like went missing or something happened, just regular stuff. So they went to the office of the company that they were working with, the Japanese company in Japan that they were working with, and they were like trying to like track down, okay, well, what actually happened to the shipment? So in any other like 21st century business in the last 20 years, that meeting would have involved like someone looking up on a database and just like telling you, okay, here's the information we have. They physically had to go to the company, and then when they were at the office, they were with the guys going through stacks and stacks of like papers and drawers to track things down, because they do everything like analog, like paper.
Jesus.
And it was not uncommon.
Yeah.
He was saying that it's not an uncommon thing. Like, there's so many parts of Japan that are in like the 23rd century, and then you get to like the like business management stuff, and it's like you went back in time to the 70s, and that's just how they fucking do it. Very labor intensive, a lot of like inefficiency. So like, it doesn't shock me about both how great these studios are at exploiting their products on the merchandise side, but then when it comes to just could you imagine if like, as much as we hate Game of Thrones, if like the first season hit and it was like hard as fuck, and HBO's like, we got a big one on our hands, and then they just farmed off the second season to like, I don't know, TNT.
Oh, people would lose their shit.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Would that make any sense? I shouldn't be sitting here like, oh, Attack on Titan season 4 or the final season might not look any good. Like, I shouldn't have that question.
Oh God. I think it's gonna be fine, good, maybe.
Well, no, I expect that it will be good, but I shouldn't have a question about that. Like, Mandalorian is running right now. Nobody was thinking like, man, I don't know, if I watch it, maybe the first episode of the next season will look like it was made for Lifetime television. Like, and yet there's always that risk with like Japanese productions.
Yeah, I think the most recent one that really like stuck it for me was definitely One Punch Man, where I was just like, I don't even want to watch this second season. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, and One Punch Man is such a weird franchise because it has two mangas running simultaneously.
Really?
Yeah, so the original and the one that's the furthest along is written and drawn by the author, the original author, who's by his own admission not a very good artist. So it kind of looks like a funky looking little cartoon. And then I think Boichi, for anyone who knows manga, I think it's Boichi. I think he's drawing.
Is that the one that does fuck? Oh my god.
I think he did Sunken Rock and some other stuff.
Doesn't he draw fuck, what the Dr. Stone?
He draws a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure he's involved with One Punch Man. Like there's like a One Punch Man remastered, but it's the manga, and it's like way behind what's in the original one, and it's like looks completely different. Same story, the dialogue is the same, but it's just redrawn. So that is a weird situation by itself. And everything you see, all the like the cool images, all the stuff that's adapted from adapted to TV is from the redrawn version of the manga.
Oh. Okay, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, this is esoteric. The point is like this would never happen anywhere else. That's kind of my point here, is that this is an absurd thing that I'm describing, and it just leads to like both amazingly beautiful things and then like jank that makes no sense, makes no business sense, makes no artistic sense. Like, how did they release One Punch Man season 2?
Because I guess they wanted to ride the wave, and maybe the merchant. I don't know.
Yeah, no, right. We have no answer. It just shouldn't have happened, and yet it did. So it is what it is.
I think that's it for me. There's a Sailor Moon mega poll, so I'm pretty sure people are gonna start arguing on the internet about Sailor Moon and that poll, even though I think it's only based in Japan. So calm down, people. Like just calm down. It's gonna be okay. It's not like they're going to change the plot mid series for like Eternal and shit like that because of the mega poll.
Oh, didn't they
On
do
like
that for Dragon Ball Super, or am I misremembering?
I don't know. I know you said that like as far as Fire Force goes, the polls bumped Benny Maru up
Oh
from like
yeah.
a
Oh,
side character to
it,
like
this was that I think that was the first time where like you just rarely pay much attention to the if that insert is in the translation you're reading for like the polls, like, oh, that's cute, you see who Japanese teens are into, but like I remembered him leading all these polls, and then I'm like reading the more recent chapters, I'm like, there's a lot of focus on Betty Maru here.
All right.